Hi, I'm Braven. This is my sculpture studio, and today I'm just gonna film while I do some daily studio work. This is one of my sculptures right here, my moon lady. Let's take a look around before we start with the work. These are concrete casts of sculptures that I've made over the years, and I will be taking some out of their molds today and then sanding them and grinding them and getting them ready for painting. This is my angel taking a cigarette break. This is another cast of my moon lady. The other one we looked at before is back there. And yet another cast. All these are in various stages of disrepair and preparation. So let's take a look at what's going on today. Yesterday, for the past few days, I've been casting this sculpture of a cannon. And just yesterday I added more concrete to the bottom just to finish it off and give it a good base. And the next step will be to really finish the base with epoxy putty, which gives it a strong plastic bottom which will absorb shock and also keep it from scratching tables if you put it on a nice table indoors. After that, there will be a lot of minor sanding and smoothing. There's a seam along the side here, you can tell, because I cast it in two parts. So minimizing and erasing that seam is always part of the job. But today, I'm going to mix up some epoxy putty, spread it around down here, and then place it on top of a flat surface to give it a good flat bottom surface here. So, and the only other cast that I made yesterday was this small crescent moon. So let's take it out of the mold. This is a silicone rubber mold and see what it looks like. See how it turned out. Not bad. No real flaws to worry about. I think it looks great. So I'm going to lacquer it, paint it, and lacquer it again, and then polish it with buffing wax and then sell it. I usually go to a farmer's market in Vancouver, Washington, the Vancouver Farmers Market, but I also do holiday markets and various outdoor markets and my Etsy shop. So for this, I want to mix up some epoxy putty, and I think what I'll use today is just sticky epoxy putty. Let me think about how much I'm going to need. First, before I mix it up, I want to get a surface ready. This is a pottery bat, and it's a good flat surface. So I'll just clean it off here. Epoxy putty sticks pretty aggressively, so I'm going to give this a coat of masking tape. Alright, so with this masking tape on the surface, The epoxy putty will stick to the sculpture, but not to the not to my bat here. And just to make sure of that, I'm going to brush it with some vegetable shortening. Just plain Crisco. Any kind of vegetable shortening or oil will do. Now let's think of how much I need. I'll just eyeball it. Clean off a little spot on my table here. This popsicle stick is too weak. It's so cold that my epoxy putty is stiff, so I need a stronger mixer. This will do it. Yeah. This handle, this is bamboo. It'll be much stronger than this popsicle stick here. This tongue depressor. I think I need a knife. This is going to be better. This is an old knife, and I've dulled it so much it's basically like a spatula. It won't cut. That's probably a little too much, but I've already taken it out of the container, so I don't want to put any back and contaminate the stuff in the container. So I'll just throw away what I don't use, or look for some project around here that I can use it on. There. Now let's clean off. I think I'll use my knife to scoop this out, but after I clean off all of this that's on here, because I don't want to contaminate that and let it harden up. Okay, that's clean enough. Now let me bunch it up here so I can see how much I have and get roughly the same amount here before I mix them up. A little bit more. That's about right. Alright, let's clean off this knife and use it for something else later. The weather's fairly cold. It's about 40 degrees and it's been almost freezing overnight, so this stuff is really hard and stiff, but it'll mix. Alright, well, the color looks pretty uniform, so I'm gonna stick it on the bottom of the sculpture now. It's not exactly rocket science, pretty simple. But I like to start by really pressing it in to get a layer that's really adhering well to the surface. So I just take a little bit on my thumb and really press it in. Now, to make a good base for a sculpture, what really matters is not so much putting material in the center as all around the edges. And the center can even be a little hollow. I might grind it out in the middle a little bit later. But what I want now is just a good bead of material all around the edges, and then I'll squish it onto the flat surface and trim it all later, and maybe hollow out the middle a little bit with an angle grinder later. So let's just try to get a bead as neat as possible all around the edge. This stuff is very stiff, very sticky, which makes it hard to work with. It's impossible to sculpt unless you're gonna let it harden up and then grind it. But it's a really good hard plastic material when it's after it's cured. But it won't scratch wood. If you set this sculpture on a wooden tabletop, the epoxy putty, the cured epoxy putty won't scratch the wood usually. Alright, I think I've got a good layer all the way around. Let me see. Boy, this is messy stuff. Okay. That ought to do it. Now let's press this as hard as I can onto that flat surface I made. First, let me get these sticky gloves off.